Termination of an offer. An offer can be terminated by 5 different ways. They are by death, lapse of time, rejection, revocation, and non-fulfillment of a condition. Now, in observing the termination of an offer, it's important to see at what moment the parties have decided to set aside this particular offer before they have entered into an contract. The reason is that once parties have entered into a contract, that is by satisfying an offer corresponded with an acceptance, without mutual agreement, they will not be able to discharge the offer. So accordingly, in looking at the first method of termination, which is death, if an offer is made by targeting to a particular offeree, on the death of the particular offeree, the offer will be terminated. On the other hand, if the offeror also dies, then that particular offer would not be in existence. This we could observe from the case of Dickinson versus Dodds. Secondly, an offer can be terminated by lapse of time. That is, if the offeror has prescribed a particular time period, on the expiry of the given time period, the offer will be terminated. But on the other hand, what if the offeror has not prescribed a particular time? On such situations, the offer will be terminated within a reasonable time. Now, a doubt one might have is, what is a reasonable time? A reasonable time is a question of fact. For example, if the goods which are offered are perishable, then of course the offer will be terminated within a very short time period, unlike the goods which are offered which do not have that perishable nature. This we observe through the case of Ramsgate Victoria versus Montefiore. Moving on to the third method of termination, that is by rejection. Generally, an offer can be rejected only by an offeree, that is either expressly or impliedly. An example of implied rejection is by making a counteroffer or by a conditional acceptance. For those who are listening to this audio for the first time, I would request you all to go to my former audios to have a look on counteroffers and conditional acceptance. The fourth method of termination is by non-fulfillment of a condition. That is, if the party is bound to perform a particular condition, failing to perform that condition would terminate the offer, like in Financings versus Stimson. And finally, revocation. An offer can be revoked or in other words withdrawn by the offeror. This is possible only if the offeror had satisfied two requirements as laid down in the case of Bryan versus Van Tienhoven. They are, firstly, the offeror should communicate his intention in withdrawing the offer. Secondly, this should be communicated any time before acceptance. But we have to note that there is no necessity for the offeror himself to communicate the revocation. If he communicates the revocation even through a third party, that is deemed to be a valid revocation, like we observe in Dickinson versus Dodds. Now, in this case, the person who was interested in selling the house had withdrawn the offer or revoked the offer which was made to the particular offeree through a neighbor. So, by that time, the buyer has not communicated the acceptance to the seller and it was held to be a valid revocation. Moving on further, when we observe unilateral offers. In unilateral offers, there is no possibility for the offeror to exactly tell the offerees about the revocation, because as we know, unilateral offers are made to the world at large. Therefore, what the offeror could do is that he could use the same method to communicate the revocation which he had used to communicate the offer. This we observe in the case of Shui versus US. For example, if I have made an offer to the world at large by a particular FM channel, then I am supposed to use the same FM channel or an equally expeditious method. But after the offer is made by an FM channel, if I have decided to withdraw my offer through newspaper, then of course that's an invalid method of revocation. In addition to this, the difficulty that an offeror would undergo in a unilateral offer is that what if by the time he has decided to withdraw the offer or revoke the offer, there is a particular offeree who had commenced or who had started to perform the terms of the offer. On such situations, the offeror would have to pay compensation to the offeree. This is because, trusting on the offeror's word, the offeree had started to perform the terms of the offer. Therefore, you are bound to provide compensation to the particular affected offeree. This important concept was laid down through an obiter pronouncement by Lord Justice Gough. A summary on termination of an offer. That is, an offer can be discharged or ended by death, lapse of time, rejection, revocation, and non-fulfillment of a condition. I hope that this particular audio is helpful to you all. Have a good day.